Hello, everyone. Today I am joined by one of my biz besties, former client, and the one and only Katie Rössler. Hi.
Hello.
Okay, so today what we want to talk about is how collaborative events has actually changed her business, what it's changed, how she's run them, how she's pivoted a few different times and always been able to gain a new audience very quickly for a new direction or a new offer. So Katie, let's just go into what do you think the power of collaborative events has actually done for your business?
I think it's the easiest and biggest way I've grown my email list. Um, I have tried ads. I have been on podcasts. I like over 100 podcasts. I have my own podcast. I post on social media. I even had a VA for a year consistently every day. We had stuff going out and trying to follow all the like trends. It is the one way that consistently always grows my email list in a way that, and with people that actually want to read my emails and hear and learn about the stuff that I'm doing. Um, so it like when I heard Mara first talk about this, I was like, oh, this sounds like fun. Like I love creating community events locally in person. I never thought about doing something online. And it was just, I mean, it was a perfect fit.
I love it. Okay, so you just finished an event. It's like kind of wrapping up right now.
Yeah.
So how many people did you just bring in through your latest summit?
Yeah, so I brought in over 250 women for the Behind the Transformation Summit. We were talking about perimenopause, but not like symptoms and problems, more the transformation, this portal that we're in life. And I had 14 other speakers, including myself, so 15 in total. It ran for 5 days. I gave an extended period of time to be able to listen to the audios. Tonight, actually, in about 30 minutes, going to do the last workshop as a bonus workshop and inviting them into the perimenopause group that I have. And really, the live event and the summit was able to show them kind of what it's going to look like when they're in that space. And I think that's the cool thing about live events is you can adapt it to what it is you typically do with clients or how you work with them to make them go like, oh, this is what it feels like. Oh, being in her energy and in her space. Like, yes, I need more of that.
Okay, I love that. So for somebody who's brand new, who's like, oh, I've heard of summits before, or I've heard of collaborative events, what would you say like the one piece of advice that you could give them about whether to do them or not would be?
So if your mind is like, gosh, that feels like a whole lot of work, then you're already creating a mountain in front of you. Like Mira's very good at going, here's step one, here's step two, here's step three. And if you just follow that, this is probably my fifth summit I think I've done. This was the easiest by far. I think I even messaged you and I was like, is this supposed to be this easy? Like, it's been harder in the past. Why is it so easy?
Like, am I forgetting something? What am I forgetting?
Exactly. That I was like, wait, hold on. Because once you have a template, you just, reuse it and you just update it and your graphics you update. And it's not starting from the beginning, which we often think like, oh, I've got to do a new sales page and I got to do all these new things. I think the most challenging piece is getting out of your own way and contacting people you want to have come and speak, even if you think they would never. Like, who cares? Just write them and say, I have this event going and I'd love to see if you'd be one of the speakers. And always making sure you give yourself like the buffer room of when you're going to have the live event. So I knew the event would be in March. And at the beginning of January, I started asking for speakers, but I knew in December already a few, like a handful I already wanted. So I had like five already going like, yeah, whenever you do something, let me know. So that's the key piece is just if you listen to a podcast and you're like, I really liked listening to that person. I'd love for them to be on my summit. You in a way you kind of have a connection. Hey, I listened to your podcast. You had so and so. Do you mind helping me get in contact with them if you don't feel like cold outreach? Yeah, I would say that's the biggest thing is like this mindset of, oh, it's so much work. It actually flows really easily. Again, if you have mirror steps, you're following them. And then if you rinse and repeat, it really, it does.
Well, I think there's a big misconception that when you do an event like that, it's supposed to be a big money maker. And so I think that everyone is missing the boat when they only think that way, because summits or the big lead gen events are not supposed to be your big money maker. They are supposed to bring in the right people for you and your offers, because you
Yeah.
set the stage for the topic, you set this, you literally invite the speakers, you set the tone for the whole thing. And then on the other side, you then get to nurture and convert like anybody who's like you're ready right now buyers who will
Yep.
go and be so attracted to you and your energy or your style or your personality or the way, you know, the way you show up, the authority, you as the expert. And I think that people are missing so much by saying like, oh, well, I didn't make very much money off of a summit. And it's like, that is actually not supposed to be your moneymaker. It is supposed
Yeah.
to be your intentional lead gen so that you can sell out your offers on the other side. So I think
Right.
that's like a big mistake that people make. They're like, oh, I did all this work. Because I've seen a lot of people who are like, oh, I ran this event and it was all this work and I didn't even make any money. And I'm like, well, go back to your corporate job then. This is fun.
You're absolutely right. You know, there's different ways for us to get in front of other people's audiences. And I like the idea of controlling how that looks
Yeah. Okay.
instead of just like, let me just show up for yours.
Yeah, it's true. So one other thing that I think that is kind of like a hidden benefit that we don't often think about, because this is definitely a lead gen event. That is what it's
Yes.
for. It is to grow your email list. It is to put you in front of the right fit people that are already actively looking for the problem that that summit is solving. But also, here's the piece that I think that not very many women actually grasp ahead of time until after a summit. But like, how do you feel as the host who actually gets to interview those people?
Oh, I enjoy it. But I have a podcast, so I love interviewing people. I love speaking in the moment and I love getting to know someone. So for me, it's like this genuine everyone I've had on the summit, I feel quite confident I could email them out of the blue and be like, "Hi, hey, how are you?
Yeah.
How's life? You know, 2 years ago you told me about this. How's that going? What happened?" Because you do form kind of a relationship. You're emailing back and forth. You're, making sure they've got the materials they need and they're making sure that they're providing the stuff that you need. So you form relationships with them. And if you go into this thinking, again, like you said, this is just about making money, then I mean, yes, go do something else. This really is about getting in front of the right audience. And then you need to have a good way to nurture them. And you need to have something you're offering them consistently, where you're showing up consistently to say, here I am. This is what I solve. This is how I help you. And just being there. Yeah.
For me, I feel like it always reminds me that I deserve a seat at the table. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I deserve to be in that room speaking at that level with those speakers, because I think there's like another piece of the online space. We kind of separate ourselves from the gurus or the experts. And then when you interview them, you realize, no, you're participating at that level in that conversation too. Everybody has different
Yeah.
strengths, of course, but like it really, I think one of my clients that just finished her first one was just like, oh my gosh, I loved it. I can't believe I felt like high afterwards because I really felt like I deserved to be there. You know what I mean? And before she
Yeah.
had run it, she was just like, I don't know if I should be reaching out to these people. Like, what am I even bringing to the table? And I think that's so natural at first. But I think once you actually like set a stage, invite all the heavy hitters to the stage, and then you sit on that
Yeah.
panel with them, essentially, it's like you feel totally different on the other side. Okay, so one other thing I wanted to ask about was, how awesome is it for you to feel like, oh my God, I have this skill set in my back pocket. I can pull out a summit anytime I need an injection of new leads. Like this is a perimenopause offer that you're selling that you have never sold before, because you usually work with couples in couples counseling. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I started in the fall. Yes, this is something in the fall I started selling, but I work with couples and the women are in perimenopause. So it was like, okay, well, let me find something that gives them the support as they're working on their relationship, because this is the phase of life where a lot of women leave their partners
I
or
love
divorce happens. And so it was like, okay, well, there's kind of this missing piece of how do I how can I guide these women through the transformation they're going through rather than see it as like a curse or this problem? And how can I help them see it's an invitation to strengthen their relationship, to completely rebuild it instead of I have no options, I have to walk away. So to me, this is, if we think about a funnel, right? This is the top of the funnel. I'm really bringing in the women who are on that in that space of questioning everything, identity, relationship, all of those things. And so having a summit that can bring those women in offering them that reconnection space to have a support group, and then going, okay, if you need that support for your relationship, which might be more of my higher ticket offer, then, here I am, and here's what I do. And I think that's the important thing when you're doing a summit. You're also injecting what you do and who you are. You're not trying to sell to them, and you're not overstepping over the interviews you're doing, but you're weaving in throughout the the talks, the marketing material, who you are in a really natural way. And I think that piece takes a little finessing. You get used to it. And like you said, I mean, I think it also depends. I never had a sense of like I don't have a spot at the table, but I'm not I think in business coaching that might be something. I'm very confident in my ability in the relationship world and the perimenopause world. So bringing on other speakers was more like um, being best friends around the campfire and being like we're all like this wisdom we all need to hear that piece. So if you're coming into this and you're going like, do I have to do heavy hitter people like these big? No, you can also just find those people that have a growing audience, that are active, that care about, nurturing too, and bring them in so that you feel a sense of equality because you are equal. And then also make sure you were part of the discussion too. Like, hey, oh, and when I work with clients, I have that problem too. I've noticed that as well. Right? Then it's like, oh, Katie does work as well. Let me like kind of hear a little bit of her story. And I even had one of the attendees say, oh, I remember you kind of shared that in an interview, and then you shared it as well in your talk. And I do think it's important when we're doing a summit that we're one of the speakers as well, whether you do it as a bonus. I have a talk that was last Thursday, and I'm doing the bonus workshop. It's important that we're also showing our authority. Again, not to be like, look at me, but just like, hey, I'm equal in this space as well. And here's what I can teach you too. And that was funny. I know I messaged with you. I did interviews for everyone, but mine was not an interview. And I started it out with surprise. I'm one of the people too, but I can't interview myself. So I'm just going to talk. And it felt really natural. So don't force a feeling of like it has to look a certain way. Just teach. Just teach what you know too.
I think the coolest part, so I don't usually take up a spot in my own events, but the coolest thing about the way that we do events is that you get to customize it for your personality, your style,
Yes.
whatever you want it to be. Like I always say, start with 6-figure event or 6-speaker events to start. Literally, that's where I always teach to start because it's very doable. It feels very manageable. You still build all the steps. You start to build out your template of what you want something to look like without being totally overwhelmed. I did 31 speakers my first event, and I do not recommend that ever. So that's why I always teach a 6-speaker summit to start. And then after that, it's like you want to morph it into a private podcast series with 10 speakers, go right ahead. You want to blow out over the water and do a 5-day, 50-person speaker event, go for it. If you want to try a bundle, you know what I mean? Like the basis, the foundation of the way that I teach this is it allows somebody like Katie to just take it and run with it. And it evolves with her.
Yeah.
This is her 5th one now. It has changed so much since the very first one. And so that's the coolest part is that you don't have to fit inside this particular little box for this to work for you. You get to match it to your style, your personality, the way you like to show up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Because what you had taught me in the beginning was like the video, right? Doing video, and I think I did it through Facebook at the time. And this one was audio only in a private audio feed, and then a group on school. So I got to customize it in the way that I was like, actually, this is how I want to show up. And that's a great way then also to see if the audience is your people.
Well, and
Because this is how I want to show up. Are they going to stick around for it or not?
also, I think it's really cool because traditionally a lot of us hosted communities just on Facebook, right? And only showed up on Facebook and Instagram. And those were kind of the main places. But now we're pulling people to like Telegram or school or these different platforms. And so by hosting your event with a school component, which is where you're also hosting your perimenopause community on the other side, you train people to already have downloaded it, be active in it, see how it works. And now it's such an easy switchover. So it's like you can build these little pieces into your event that already sets you up for the nurture and conversion of the right people.
And this is the best part of joining other people's events too, watching how they do it as a participant and also going and speaking on people's events. How did they organize it? What was communication like? Being able to do that helped me learn a lot too. Of, now I know like the structure for Mara, but let me watch how different people have done this or, you know, invited me as a speaker and how that looks. And then how would I want to do it?
Yeah.
And I will say my speakers were like, you were the most organized person I have ever experienced. Like this was so well thought out, so well planned. They were in from the beginning because it felt like a structured container and not a like, can you send me this last minute, right? Like I was like, no, we're going to do the interviews at least 2 to 3 weeks before it needs to go live. We're going to have this. We're going to like everything was in flow so that I didn't want to rush and I don't want to make them feel rushed.
Yeah.
And I think that's the cool piece is as you do this and you practice it, you start to go, this is how I would want to be treated in these events. So I'm going to treat them that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Okay. So is there any last thing you would say, a piece of advice to somebody who's like sitting on the fence, considering whether they should go start running collaborative events or not?
Again, get out of your way. Just do it.
Just do the damn.
Just do it. Absolutely. And anything in your like this won't work. This won't work. I don't know. I mean, that right there will set it up for failure. So just stay open, stay curious, ask Mara questions. Hey, how should I do this? There was times even in the last 3 or 4, or the first 3 or 4 that I was like, Mara, this is something you remember to teach people. Like there's just these little things that as you do it more regularly, you forget the little pieces that in the beginning make your life easier if they're already set up. And those types of things, it's not worth the trial and error. It's really worth having a structure and a plan. And that for me, like hands down, absolutely do collaborative events to grow your email list. Hands down, work with Mira to figure out how to do it. So it's not this guessing, oh, I've dropped the ball and I didn't know I was supposed to have this link to this and make this work. Mm-mm. Don't play that game.
I get you. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Katie. If any of you watching want to know how to run collaborative events, that is literally one of the key pieces that I teach inside of my core program, which is called the Ambitious Academy. And I'm also offering it as a standalone course right now. So just send me a quick message and I can hook you up, or you can ask me questions. Thanks, Katie. Thanks for doing this.
You're welcome.